The French Revolution was more radical than the American Revolution, as many groups fought for elusive power. Revolutionary leaders wanted to eradicate the ancient regime and sought to replace it with a new political and social order based on Enlightenment ideas of liberty, equality, and fraternity. Standing in their way was the old landed aristocracy and the French king and queen, Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette. King Louis XVI ruled from 1774 to 1793. He inherited a heavy burden of debt from 17th and 18th century wars. He sought to raise taxes. The problem was the nobility was exempt from direct taxes, and the peasantry was poor and already overburdened. In 1787, King Louis XVI turned to the nobility for help, but their demands were too high. They also wanted to demonstrate their ability to act independently. The nobility demanded that Louis XVI summon the Estates General, an old French institution. In 1789, King Louis XVI reluctantly called the Estates General to Versailles. The estates represented the entire French population in three groups. The first estate represented 100,000 Roman Catholic clergy. The second estate represented 400,000 nobles. And the third estate represented 24 million serfs, free peasants, and urban residents. On June 17, 1789, not at all pleased with the proceedings, the Third Estate seceded from the Estates General and proclaimed themselves to be the National Assembly. They swore not to disband until they provided France with a new constitution. This presented an opportunity for revolution from the peasantry and urban poor. On July 14, 1789, a Parisian crowd stormed the Bastille, an armory. An insurrection soon spread throughout France, known as the Great Fear. All over France, the peasantry burned monasteries, destroyed public records and the houses of nobles. To control the masses and the tide of revolution, the National Assembly wrote the Declaration of Rights of Man and Citizen in August 1789. From 1789 to 1791, the National Assembly, the old Third Estate General, controlled the revolution. They established a constitutional monarchy, but it wasn't far-reaching enough, and many wanted to make France a republic. The French nobility, in the meantime, was making plans to restore their power, and they were making efforts to ally with Austria and Prussia. In 1792, the National Assembly declared war on Austria and Prussia, and in 1793 they extended the war to Spain, Britain, and the Netherlands. They did not want foreign intervention in the revolution. Revolutionary leaders then created a new body of legislators called the Convention, which acknowledged universal suffrage, or the right to vote, for all men. It abolished the monarchy and declared France a republic. They then began to raise an army by way of a draft. In 1793, the revolution began to turn more radical. King Louis XVI and Queen Marie Antoinette were beheaded at the guillotine by the Convention. Then the Jacobin Party took control of the Convention. Their leader was known as the Incorruptible, Maximilien Robespierre. In 1793, Robespierre started a year-long reign of terror, when 40,000 people were executed, and another 300,000 imprisoned. All were suspected enemies of the revolution. By July 1794, Robespierre had gone too far, and the Convention arrested him and executed him. Then a group of conservative men of property took control of France under a new institution, the Directory, which lasted from 1795 to 1799. Though it was a bit more stable, the Directory could not solve France's economic woes and military problems. In November 1799, a young general named Napoleon Bonaparte staged a coup d'état and seized power. Napoleon would be able to restore order to France, but it came at a cost. He overthrew the Directory, made a new constitution, and crowned himself emperor in 1804. He then took all of France's anguish and internal turmoil and went to war with it against the rest of Europe. He was successful until he invaded Russia in 1812.